Hi, I'm Dr. Anna Nguyen, a Canadian family physician trained at the University of Toronto with over 12 years of clinical experience. I've helped thousands of patients improve their health with evidence-based practical care that fits their lifestyle, not someone else's idea of what health should look like. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. It's 5:45 a.m. The sun is barely brushing the edges of the sky above a quiet village in Okinawa. There's a whisper of ocean air drifting through open paper doors. A 97-year-old woman named Fumiko slowly opens her eyes. Her bones creak a little, but her mind is sharp. She doesn't rush. She stretches, smiles, and says the same words she says every morning, ikigai, her reason for getting up today. Then she rises, washes her face, and heads to the kitchen, where a quiet ritual begins. In many parts of the world, breakfast is skipped or shoved into a paper bag, eaten while driving or working. But for people like Fumiko, and many seniors living in longevity hotspots like Okinawa, breakfast is sacred. Before we dive in, how old are you and what country are you watching from? I'd love to know who's joining us on this health journey. And once again, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss any health videos. I bet they are very necessary for you. Now let's talk about breakfast, not as a buzzword or a trending diet rule, but as an intentional, deeply rooted practice. Fumiko's breakfast is not flashy. It may include a small bowl of miso soup, warm and cloudy with fermented soybean paste and tiny cubes of tofu. There might be steamed purple sweet potatoes rich in antioxidants, dense with slow-burning energy. She often eats goya, bitter melons sautéed with egg or tofu, maybe a little bowl of pickled seaweed and a hot cup of jasmine green tea. No cereal, no pastries, no caffeine overload, just warmth, color, and subtlety. What stands out most isn't the what, but the how. Everything is plated with care. Even the smallest meal feels like a presentation of gratitude. Gratitude for life, for food, and for the people who helped make it possible. That mindset, deeply spiritual, gently habitual, is a powerful start to any day. And the nutrient profile? Astonishing. This breakfast is naturally rich in fiber, probiotics, plant-based proteins, essential minerals like potassium and magnesium, and protective compounds like polyphenols. It's not engineered for macros. It's crafted from generations of food wisdom. In Okinawa, elders often grow their own food. You'll find tiny home gardens bursting with leafy greens like shima tofu, local tofu, beni imo, purple yams, and herbs like mugwort. They bend down, they move, they harvest. Movement is baked into their lifestyle, not boxed into a workout. Contrast that with a typical Western breakfast: refined carbs, sugars, meat-heavy, and rushed. It's not just what we're eating, it's how we're treating food. When the first thing you consume is engineered for dopamine, your body and brain start the day with chaos. Fumiko doesn't count calories. She doesn't debate carbs. She simply eats what grows around her, what's in season, and what her mother taught her was good for her. And every choice is infused with a sense of rhythm. This rhythm of nourishment, of place, of pace, may be a secret sauce we're overlooking. And here's a small but powerful detail. She eats breakfast alone only if she must. Usually it's shared, with a neighbor, a daughter, a friend who comes by. Conversation slows the meal. Laughter adds breath. These aren't distractions, they're the main ingredients. Think about your own mornings. Are they full of rushing, screens, coffee jolts? What would change if the first 30 minutes of your day were devoted to quiet, simple nourishment and gratitude? Fumiko is not a wellness influencer. She's not biohacking or tracking macros, but she's outlived nearly everyone she went to school with. And breakfast, done with this level of intention, might be why. When we reduce eating to a transaction, fuel in, energy out, we miss the bigger picture. In these long-living cultures, breakfast isn't a formula, it's a ritual of identity. and that's where we'll continue, moving into midday. By the time the sun is high over Okinawa's red-tiled rooftops, Fumiko has already walked to her garden, shared tea with a neighbor, and maybe even done a bit of Tai Chi in the courtyard. It's nearing lunchtime, not a rushed interlude between meetings, but a moment of alignment with nature's rhythm. Now, imagine we zoom out, far out, from Okinawa to other blue zones, the 5 regions on Earth known for producing extraordinary concentrations of centenarians. We land in Sardinia, Italy, where a shepherd named Antonio climbs a rocky hillside with a chunk of sourdough bread tucked under his arm. Or Nicoya, Costa Rica, where a woman in her late 80s named Rosa stirs a bubbling pot of black beans next to a fire. Or Ikaria, Greece, where midday means slow-cooked lentils and wild herbs, eaten with neighbors under a fig tree. And in Loma Linda, California, a Seventh-day Adventist community sits down for a meatless, nutrient-dense meal after a quiet morning of worship or volunteer work. Different geographies, different religions, different languages. But open each of their lunchboxes, and you'll find the same core principles staring back at you: simplicity, plants, and fermentation. Let's begin with plants. In all these zones, 90 to 95% of daily calories come from plant-based sources. Not because they're vegan or trying to hit a target on a nutrition tracker, but because that's how their ancestors ate, and because the food around them grows easily from the land. Beans are king: black beans in Costa Rica, lentils in Greece, chickpeas in Sardinia, soybeans in Okinawa. Often cooked slowly, sometimes fermented, always eaten in humble, seasoned fashion. Add to that whole grains like barley, brown rice, corn tortillas, and sourdough. Vegetables? Always in season, usually grown within walking distance. Leafy greens, root vegetables, onions, and herbs you might not even find in supermarkets, like dandelion, purslane, or Malabar spinach, are tossed into stews or eaten raw. Let's talk about fermentation. In Ikaria, you might find homemade goat's milk yogurt or pickled grape leaves. In Okinawa, miso and natto are staples. In Sardinia, pecorino cheese is aged by families using centuries-old techniques. Fermented foods support gut health, but for these communities, they're just tradition. Here's what you won't find: complicated recipes, sauces packed with preservatives, or meals that require a dozen imported ingredients. Most meals can be described in one breath: beans and rice with squash, barley stew with potatoes and kale, sweet potato with tofu and greens. It's what we'd call boring in the modern world, but these boring plates have fueled vibrant, functional bodies for nearly a century. You might ask, what about protein? What about variety? They have it, but in proportion. Sardinians might eat meat, usually goat or pork, only once a week. Costa Ricans enjoy eggs occasionally, but not daily. Fish appears, especially in Okinawa and Ikaria, but not in bulk. What's fascinating is that these elders never overconsume animal protein. It's a side note, not the headline. And then comes fat, usually from plants. Olive oil drizzled sparingly, avocado in Costa Rica, sesame oil in Okinawa. No deep-fried foods, no butter-drenched indulgences, just enough to satisfy the palate and carry flavor. Salt? Used minimally, often in the form of miso or sea salt, but counterbalanced by the high-potassium, high-fiber nature of their meals. Sugar? Mostly absent. The sweetness comes from roasted root vegetables or the occasional fruit. Even their cooking methods reflect health: boiling, steaming, fermenting, or slow roasting. Rarely frying, never fast food. There's one more thing worth noticing: these meals are predictable. Fumiko doesn't reinvent lunch every day, nor does Rosa. They've cooked the same beans, steamed the same greens, and eaten the same grains for decades. The stability of this food routine may be another key to their resilience. No food trends, no stress about what's for lunch. Their bodies are in sync with a consistent rhythm. Here's a humbling thought. If you gave most Westerners a week's worth of these meals, they'd probably say, "I'm bored." But these dishes carry the flavor of memory, family, and belonging. Each recipe is a thread in a much older fabric, and every bite is a reminder of place, season, and story. So while the rest of the world chases variety and indulgence, these long-living elders return to simplicity. A bowl of beans, a handful of greens, a spoonful of pickled radish. Every ingredient chosen because it makes them feel good, body and soul. Lunch isn't a productivity pause, it's a nutritional anchor. It nourishes, grounds, and extends life in a quiet, humble way. From here, let's walk past the kitchen and out onto the patio where they rest, sip herbal tea, and enjoy a slow afternoon. But if you think what they eat is all that matters, you're missing a deeper layer. Timing and how they eat, well, that may be the most underestimated part of all. After lunch, the world slows down in these longevity hotspots. There's no rush to clear the table, no scramble to multitask while chewing. Instead, there's a quiet intermission. The sun is at its peak, and with it, a gentle lull, a time to pause, digest, and be. Elders in Ikaria might recline in the shade. In Nicoya, hammocks are gently rocked. In Loma Linda, some residents may take a meditative walk or read in silence. It's a rhythm that modern life often overlooks, but here, it's sacred. Now let's talk about when these seniors eat, and why that timing might matter just as much as what's on their plate. Across all blue zones, there's a striking pattern. People eat earlier and stop eating earlier. In Okinawa, dinner is often served before sunset, around 5 or 6 p.m., and once it's done, that's it. No late-night snacking, no refrigerator raids at midnight, just a slow winding down of the day. Their digestive systems get a long overnight break, sometimes 14 to 16 hours without food, which aligns closely with what modern science now calls intermittent fasting. But for these elders, it's not a trendy biohack. It's just tradition. The body isn't burdened by digestion while it sleeps. Instead, energy is directed toward repair, memory consolidation, and hormonal balance. And the evidence? Well, it's hard to argue with people living vibrant lives into their 90s and hundreds. What's even more remarkable is their portion control. And no, they don't use kitchen scales or calorie counters. Instead, they follow something more intuitive. In Okinawa, it's called hara-hachi-bu, a Confucian teaching that reminds people to eat until they're 80% full. It's not about restriction, it's about mindfulness. And after decades of practicing it, many elders have trained their bodies to know precisely when to stop. Imagine eating a meal and leaving the table not bloated, not sluggish, but lightly satisfied, with just enough room to breathe deeply. That's the daily norm in these zones. Meals aren't meant to overwhelm. They're meant to energize and sustain, not sedate. Contrast that with the typical Western pattern: late dinners, endless snacks, oversized portions, and rushed bites in front of screens. It's not just harder on digestion. It teaches the body to stay in a constant state of processing, never fully resting or repairing. And over time, that contributes to inflammation, weight gain, and a cascade of metabolic issues. In Sardinia, elders often begin their day with bread and sheep's cheese, enjoy a hearty lunch of minestrone or barley soup, and then nibble something small in the early evening. That's it. 3 simple meals, timed with the sun, not the clock. In Nicoya, you'll often see something similar: a robust breakfast, a large lunch, and a very light dinner, sometimes just fruit or a cup of corn-based drink like pinolillo. These people aren't counting macros. They're following the natural flow of hunger and rest, light and dark. Another powerful element: the pace of eating. Meals are never rushed. There's chewing, pausing, speaking. There's silence between bites. This slow pace not only aids digestion, it regulates satiety hormones. When you eat slowly, your body has time to recognize fullness. Fast eating overrides that mechanism, leading to chronic overeating, even when your body doesn't need the extra fuel. You'll also notice a near-total absence of eating on the go. No grabbing protein bars while driving, No inhaling sandwiches during a 10-minute break. Even something as simple as a banana is often eaten while seated, with intention. That small act, sitting down, sends a signal to the brain. This is a meal, not a panic response. But perhaps the most invisible part of their eating pattern is what isn't there. No constant snacking, no sugar roller coasters, no caffeine addiction, no grazing all day long. These elders aren't keeping their blood sugar in constant motion. They're letting it stabilize. And that rhythm affects more than just physical health. Studies show that consistent meal times improve sleep, reduce anxiety, and enhance cognitive performance, especially in elders. It's a full system alignment. Hormones like insulin and cortisol fall into place. The digestive tract resets, sleep comes more easily, and inflammation quiets. There's also a surprising emotional benefit. When you eat with intention, when you end a meal knowing it's your last of the day, there's a sense of completeness. You're not always looking for what's next. That discipline, wrapped in gentleness, carries through the entire day. Here's a question. When was the last time you ate dinner before the sun went down? Not out of necessity, but because your body asked for it. In our hyper-stimulated culture, food has become constant background noise. But for the longest living people on Earth, it's still a song with rhythm and rest. So if you're looking for one simple shift, something you could try tonight, try this. Eat your dinner earlier, make it smaller. Step away from screens. Chew slowly. And when it's done, let it be done. Your body will thank you. Your sleep will thank you. Your cells, your heart, even your mood. They'll all begin to recognize the gift of rest. But if you're thinking this all sounds lonely, eating in silence, eating early, don't worry. In fact, the next secret may be the most nourishing one of all: who you eat with. It's late afternoon in the hills of Sardinia. The sun is tilting westward, and in a small stone house surrounded by olive trees, a man in his late 80s pours himself a small glass of red wine. It's not a heavy pour. It's not meant for intoxication. It's for the moment. He sits down with his wife of 60 years, and they share a plate of olives, a slice of sourdough bread, maybe a wedge of aged cheese, just enough to accompany the sips. There's no rush, no TV, just the warmth of light conversation and the earthy depth of the wine. This is not indulgence, it's balance. And across all 5 blue zones, this approach to treats is surprisingly consistent. No food is feared, but everything is framed by moderation, purpose, and deep cultural roots. Let's begin with beverages, because what they drink says as much as what they eat. In Ikaria, Greece, herbal teas are a daily ritual, not for hydration alone, but for healing. Sage, chamomile, mint, and wild rosemary are steeped in water that's often from natural springs. These teas are consumed slowly, often after meals, and many elders drink them multiple times a day. They're believed to support digestion, lower blood pressure, and calm the nervous system. In Okinawa, jasmine green tea and mugwort infusions are popular. These aren't caffeine bombs. They're light, floral, and sipped with reverence. The polyphenols in these teas are powerful antioxidants, but again, the elders don't drink them for the data. They drink them because their parents did, because they feel better when they do. In Costa Rica's Nicoya Peninsula, the day might begin with coffee, but not a triple shot from a paper cup. It's gently brewed, served in a ceramic mug, and often accompanied by a piece of fruit or fresh corn tortilla. Again, the focus isn't caffeine, it's connection. And in Sardinia, perhaps the most romantic of all the beverage rituals, one small glass of Canino red wine, rich in flavonoids and heart-protective compounds. It's taken with food, never on an empty stomach, and always in company. The wine isn't the focus, it's the excuse to pause, laugh, reflect. Now let's talk about snacks, those in-between moments when the body needs something small but meaningful. In Loma Linda, California, where many residents follow vegetarian or vegan diets, snacks might be a handful of almonds, a banana, or a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter. Nothing processed, nothing artificial. In Okinawa, a mid-afternoon bite might be a piece of sweet potato or a bit of tofu with sea salt. In Nicoya, fruit reigns supreme, papaya, mango, or banana, often fresh from the backyard tree. These are not dopamine-chasing snacks. They're simply answers to real hunger. And here's something else to notice. Sweets are not the enemy, but in these cultures they're homemade, simple and infrequent. A date-filled pastry on a Sunday, a piece of dark chocolate after a family meal, a slice of fruit tart at a village celebration. The ingredients are clean, the portions small, the moment cherished. It's not that they have more willpower, it's that they have fewer triggers. There are no shelves of packaged chips and candy at eye level, no food advertisements at every scroll, no cultural cues pushing them to treat themselves 5 times a day. Instead, food is still tied to occasion. Not boredom, not stress, not reward. Real occasions, celebrations, connections, transitions, and that keeps their relationship with food unpolluted. What they don't do, they don't graze all day, they don't eat while distracted, they don't snack mindlessly at midnight. Even small bites are eaten with presence, with boundaries, with intention. There's also a spiritual aspect to how these elders enjoy food, a quiet reverence, a sense that the earth has provided, and that every bite is a small miracle. This may be one reason they don't overdo it. They honor their food. And when you do that, you naturally eat less, but feel more satisfied. In a Western culture obsessed with cheat days, reward meals, and binge-restrict cycles, this kind of relationship with food seems almost alien. But it's what sustains them. It gives them decades of steady health. No extreme swings, no burnout, no guilt. And there's a beautiful humility in how they enjoy these treats. A handful of nuts, a square of chocolate, a few sips of wine. It's enough. There's no drive to devour, no need to get your money's worth, just the joy of a small pleasure done well. So what can we learn from this? If you want to snack like a centenarian, start by asking, am I truly hungry? If yes, choose whole, simple foods. If not, wait. If you want to enjoy a treat, ask, will I savor it or inhale it? If you're going to rush, maybe it's not the right moment. And if you want a health ritual you can begin tonight, try this. Brew a herbal tea after dinner. Sit down with it. No phone, no screen, just the sound of the steam, the scent of mint or chamomile. That small ritual might do more for your sleep and stress than any pill ever could. Because ultimately, in the world of the longest living people, food is never just food. It's a bridge to community, to history, to peace. And that leads us to the last and perhaps most powerful truth. They never eat alone. It's a Sunday afternoon in Ikaria. Under the canopy of olive trees, a table is being set. Mismatched chairs, clay bowls, a linen cloth faded from years of sun. Elders arrive slowly, bringing platters of lentils, herb pies, roasted vegetables, and crusty bread. Children chase each other between chairs. Someone starts a folk tune on an old radio. There's no rush, no tight schedule, just laughter, conversation, and the clinking of glasses. This is not a party. It's just lunch. But here, meals are never eaten alone. The fifth and perhaps most underestimated pillar of the world's longest-living seniors' diet is who they eat with. In every blue zone, the act of eating is inseparable from the act of community. Fumiko in Okinawa, Antonio in Sardinia, Rosa in Nicoya, they all share their meals with others. Not once in a while, every day. And this habit may be just as vital to longevity as the food itself. Let's start with the most basic truth. Eating together slows us down. When there's conversation, there's pause. When there's laughter, we breathe deeper. And when we're listening or speaking, we chew more thoroughly, give our digestive system time to work as it should. Meals stretch longer, not out of inefficiency, but out of joy. But it goes deeper than that. In Okinawa, before a meal begins, there is often a simple word spoken, itadakimasu. It means, I humbly receive. It's said aloud, with everyone present. It's not religious, It's relational, a moment of gratitude, collectively acknowledged. This single word has been spoken over billions of meals, reinforcing the idea that food is a gift, and sharing it is a sacred act. In Sardinia, families eat together even when they're apart. How? Grandmothers still cook for grown children who live next door. Neighbors stop by just to eat standing up in the kitchen. Meals are fluid, open, communal. Loneliness is rare, because no one's expected to eat in silence. In Loma Linda, potlucks are a core part of Adventist life. Weekly shared meals after church services, where everyone brings a dish. It's about belonging as much as it is about beans and vegetables. The benefits? Massive. People who eat in groups report lower levels of stress. Their cortisol levels drop. Their immune systems strengthen. They're more likely to laugh, and laughing, yes, even at the table, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, helping the body rest and digest. Then, there's the emotional nutrition of shared meals. You're not just eating fiber, you're absorbing love. You're not just breaking bread, you're being seen. And in a world where loneliness is as deadly as heart disease, that's no small thing. Meals in blue zones also carry forward rituals that root people in identity. In Ikaria, it might be breaking a loaf of bread baked with wild oregano, passed from eldest to youngest. In Nicoya, it might be the telling of a familiar story right after the last bite of rice and beans. In Sardinia, it's the ritual toast of a centenanos, to 100 years. Even in the act of serving, there is meaning. Elders often serve the younger, not out of duty, but pride. And the younger accept it, not with entitlement, but respect. There's a flow of care that transcends food. It's ancestral, it's almost invisible, but it strengthens the soul. It's also deeply preventative. Studies have shown that people who eat together are less likely to overeat, more likely to eat nutritious meals, and significantly less likely to suffer from depression. Conversation builds emotional resilience. Eye contact stabilizes mood. Simple presence enhances self-worth. Now imagine the opposite. Eating alone, every day, under fluorescent lights, with nothing but your phone for company. Even with a perfectly balanced plate, your body may not absorb what it needs. Digestion is impacted by stress. Hormones respond to emotional states. And the absence of connection is itself a form of malnutrition. So what can we learn? And more importantly, what can we do? First, prioritize shared meals, even imperfect ones. You don't need a big dining room. Just 2 chairs and a table will do. Invite someone to sit, light a candle, put the phone away. Talk, even if it's just about your day. Second, revive gratitude. It doesn't have to be religious, just a sentence of thanks, a pause, a breath. Teach your children. Remind your spouse. Say it aloud, even if you're alone, because words can shift energy, even in solitude. Third, create rituals. Taco night, Saturday soup, tea at 4. Give meals structure. Give them story. Because food is memory, and memory anchors the soul. And finally, don't just think about what's on your plate. Look at who's across from you. Are they smiling? Are they nourished? Are you? Because ultimately, what the longest living people teach us is this. Food is not just fuel. It's not even just medicine. It's relationship. To the land, to the past, to each other. And when we eat together, we don't just extend our lives, we deepen them. If you've stayed with me through this entire journey, you now carry a beautiful truth. The secrets of the world's longest living seniors are not hidden in rare supplements, complicated diets, or strict meal plans. They're quietly woven into the rhythm of everyday life, through simplicity, presence, gratitude, and community. These elders have shown us that health isn't built in a day or with a single food trend. It's built plate by plate, meal by meal, moment by moment. It's shaped by the warmth of morning miso soup, the joy of a shared lentil stew, the calm of an herbal tea at dusk. It's strengthened by eating slowly, stopping before full, and closing each day with peace rather than excess. But most of all, it's made possible by connection to the earth, to routine, to people, to purpose. You don't need to live in a blue zone to begin living like one. You can start right now, with your next meal. Can you slow down? Can you invite someone to share it? Can you listen to your body with gentleness, not judgment? Try one small shift. Eat your breakfast sitting down. Call a friend for lunch. End dinner with gratitude. These aren't just habits. They're powerful choices. Ones that can change not just the number of years in your life, but the life in your years. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I hope it inspired you, not to chase longevity, but to live well today. And before we end, I'd love to know, what's one habit from these long-living communities you'd love to try in your own life? Share it in the comments below, and let's keep learning from each other. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and take good care of yourself.